Hi everyone, welcome back to L'Amour et la Musique. I've kind of brought you in a little bit closer than I feel like maybe I typically do because we're going to do a get ready with me today. And it's going to be a Project Pan 2021 update, chatty, get ready with me, blah, blah, blah. Let me take a sip of my chai. At the outset of declaring a project pan for myself for 2021, I never did it super formally. I did an Instagram post with the products that I thought would make a good project pan. Now, I've never done one of these before, and in fact, I was never that interested in the idea, to be honest. Hang on, I'm gonna put a little bit of lip balm on my lips as I do this introduction, and anyone that watches my live streams will know this is like how I start every live stream. I put a little bit of this Kahina lip and face balm on my lips. I really like it. So to be honest, I had never had that much of an interest in a project pan. I never even took the time to really learn what it was. I mean, I kind of deduced. But in my mind, project pan has always been a bit of a misnomer because you could kind of intuit it to mean products that you just hit pan on, which is vernacular that's been around in the beauty blogging, beauty YouTubing space since its inception, I think. And hitting pan just means that you can see that you've used enough product to hit pan. And that's always very gratifying for people that are really into beauty. But Project Pan actually entails selecting any number of products, obviously very flexible. You set the rules yourself, and you endeavor to use them up completely over the course of that year, as I have done with my first item. And that's what kind of instigated me wanting to sit down and do this get ready with me, update you on the project so far, kind of what I've learned, how it's been valuable, what some of the cons have been. I mean, it's May, and this is the first thing I finished. This was the KR bronzer in Dazzling, which is a very easy product to finish. Bronzer, I think. Well, I shouldn't say that because I have like 3 powder bronzers waiting in the wings that I have like no hope of finishing anytime soon. But you set whatever number of products you want. I have learned that fewer is better. I think this became so popular because we waste a lot of makeup, and that was kind of what made me want to do it this year. And in fact, it was really, I have a number of KR products in my project pan because these go bad relatively, I mean, I would say within, I don't know, I mean, some of the cream products I guess stay good for a couple of years, but I have noticed some KR products turning on me. For example, this went bad, my KR Abundance blush, and I had also had to throw out almost a full pan of highlight because I just wasn't using it. And it's not necessarily a knock on the products. We all know that eco beauty products just don't have the shelf life that a lot of more conventional beauty products do, and a project pan is just a good way to make sure that you are actually using up products that you want to use up. I'm going to do a get ready with me with a few little additions. Now, I will say at the outset that I did not include in my project pan things I knew I was going to use up regardless. So mascara, I don't really deviate that much from the Kosas Big Clean. I really like this. I'm using the Bite mascara as well, but I don't consider that project pan worthy. And then my brow products, which I'm also quite happy with, the Ilia Brow Gel and the Plume Brow Pencil, which I'll use today. Actually, I just picked up the Kosas Brow Gel to try, and I didn't see a point in including brow products because even if I buy new ones, I always will go through them. Even if I'm trying 3 brow products, I'll tend to go through them over the course of the year. Okay, let's get started. I don't have any SPF on my face, just skincare. Now, I don't have an SPF product in my project pan, again, because it's something that I inevitably am going to go through today, because I am going to be using the KR Cream foundation. I'm going to use a pretty emollient SPF. This is the AKT Therapy, I think it's called Sun Balm. Yeah. I have been loving this. It's probably going to be too rich and emollient for some people, but I have been wanting to find a place to talk about it because I really like it. I picked it up at Pink Moon maybe 3 months ago. And this is not going to be a product for people, I'm like thinking of all the loud, obnoxious voices on social media who are, what's the word I want to use? Like really browbeat people over how to use SPF. So this is not going to be a product for people that are really, really hell-bent on getting like an SPF 100 coverage all day, every day. kind of psycho in my opinion. This is kind of, I mean, maybe even more so mimicking the Gwyneth Paltrow approach, which is like, let me use this as a highlight that everyone, you know, kind of had massive issue with. Anyway, you can use as much or as little as you want. I just kind of do a couple layers until my face feels like it has the coverage that I am comfortable with. And this makes a really, really nice primer for any kind of base product. Now, if you're oily, I would avoid this product because it's very emollient, but I've been loving it. And you can see it does give kind of a nice little initial tint to the skin with that peach color. All right, so I would recommend, I guess, you know, there's no hard and fast rules, right? You can include more than one item from a category in your project pan. I don't think people really do that, but I guess there's nothing to preclude you from doing it. I included the K.R. Weiss Cream Foundation as the foundation that I wanted to finish up in 2021. And I really like this product. I will say that I've been reaching more for the K.R. Weiss liquid foundation since the weather has kind of become a little bit warmer. But I do really like this product. If you do the proper skin prep, it gives wonderful coverage. It has great longevity on the skin. And I have already made like a pretty sizable dent this year. I don't think I have a before picture of before I kind of started including it in a project pan. So some people will approach a project pan like that's the only product you use, like you use that every single day until you finish it with no deviation. But inevitably, you know, you're having a different kind of skin day, you have different skin needs. So, you know, it's not realistic in my opinion to use the same base product every single day. But I would say of the days that I wear makeup, 70% of the time I'm reaching for this. And a little goes a pretty long way, and it's a big compact. It's bigger than these smaller blush and bronzer compacts. So I would say if it's your main foundation, you could easily use up one of these compacts in a year, maybe a year and a half, depending on how much you wear makeup. Now, typically I'll do a little bit of corrector before I do foundation. I just forgot because I was excited to jump into the project pan, but I'm gonna do a little bit now. This is just the Fit Glow Corrector in Peach, and not a project pan because it's the only one I have and I'm not concerned about using it up, basically. So not part of the project. Just part of my everyday makeup routine. Now, powder. We come to powder. I'd kind of thrown this in to include, I was kind of waffling on whether to include this in project pan. This is the Antonym Baked Foundation in Light. I've had this for a long time. I mean, powders stay good for quite a while. Eco powders stay good for quite a while as well. If you store them at the proper temperature, they're not in too hot of an environment, which I have learned the hard way. I'll use it today, but truthfully, I have wanted to retire it. There's absolutely no way I would finish this up this year. And to be honest, I've had it for so long, I'm over it. I've been passively looking and accepting recommendations for a new face powder for a while, and just nothing has really struck my eye. But I do definitely need some powder for under the eyes, and then I kind of like to just gently take down a little bit of shine in the T-zone. I have been, instead of that, I kind of kicked it out of my project pan, honestly. I picked this up recently, the Suntegrity Pressed Mineral Powder, just for summer. I've been using this as a setting powder. It's not as good, honestly, as the Antonym. The Antonym does provide more anti-creasing under the eyes, this not so much, but I do like a mineral-based powder, either those loose ones in the brushes or something like this. I am still quite anal about sun on my face, though I've been reforming my relationship with sun on my body. So if anyone has a wonderful powder recommendation, I've kind of been wondering if the K.R. Weiss translucent powder would be worth it, but I think it's probably something like this. I do also still have this Hourglass Veil translucent setting powder that I'm probably either gonna have to use or declutter. I don't really like loose powders that much, so it's probably gonna get decluttered at some point soon. All right, we'll do brows quickly. Again, just the Ilia Brow Gel and the Plume Eyebrow Pencil. Not exciting at all. I am excited to try the Kosas. This is gone a little off before I've had a chance to kind of fully use it up, but I've been using this for, I don't even know, 6+ months, and it's performed really quite well. Definitely better than the thing I had been using before, which was the Juice Beauty brow gel. And I have high hopes for the Kosas because a lot of people like it. Even their very Gen Z focused marketing, packaging vibe, which I have to admit, as someone, I'm turning 39 next week, and I was just thinking about this on my drive home from dropping my toddler off at his little morning daycare. See, it's like this is starting to get somewhat clumpy. I think I just finally hit that mark where I can really see when brands are targeting women in their 20s. And it's very different than the kind of brands or products or vibe that I am interested in now. And it's been a kind of a slow evolution, but Kosas does still, you know, they make some good products. I just find their packaging to be kind of unnecessarily bulky. Okay, I'm gonna let that set a little bit and quickly curl my lashes. And now I'll finish the brows quickly, just going through them with this plume. Definitely would never need to project pan this because I go through these little refills so quickly. But I really like this product, so I'm kind of willing to put up with how quickly you run through them. I use this in the shade Chestnut Decadence, and I just get all of my refills through Beauty Heroes. All right, now we come to eyes. And this has been maybe the biggest learning. Yeah, it has been the biggest learning. So I only put one eye color product in here. And again, it was motivated by the same product that I had bought in another shade that went bad before. I had like barely had it. I just like wasn't reaching for it because I wasn't prioritizing it. So I put the Rituel de Fille Celestial Sphere Eye Soot in the shade Andromeda in this project pan. And I have to say, I mean, I'm pretty proud of, for a type of product like this, I've used, you know, like, I mean, I'm still barely below like this little initial lip, but these go bad definitely within a year. So I really wanted to prioritize using it. And I was really happy kind of using this intermittently, either between, I like it as an inner corner. It basically is like a pink brown reflect shimmery. It can be used on its own, used as a topper. I like this in the inner corner. I think it's really interesting, or I do like it patted over the lid. And after about 2 months of exclusively using this on my eyes, I was just totally fatigued. So I kind of overdid it, and I wasn't interchanging other things enough, other than outside of my weekly live streams where I do branch out and try different eye looks with different palettes and whatnot that I have. So what I'm going to do today is like a bit of a spin with that. This is not part of my project pan, but actually it's sort of an outgrowth of my project pan, which is a little bit of the boredom that I have started to experience with the project pan and wanting kind of a new infusion of something creative and interesting. So I picked up the Axiology Lip to Lid Balmies. This is the super fan pack. I think it's still currently available on their website. And you get 14 of these little Axiology crayons, very low waste, fully recyclable packaging, and these can be used on eyes, cheeks, and lips. So I'm going to put down a little bit of this shade Chestnut on my lids first, which I really like, and I love using these, mostly on the eyes and cheeks. I kind of struggle with them a bit on the lips, and then I'm going to use this as a topper, and maybe on the inner corner as well. But I'm just going to go in now with a little bit of this on my ring finger and pat this over top. And so this is kind of how I've continued to keep using this, is just pairing it with other things to make it a little bit more fun to use, interesting, and not so boring to just be reaching for the same eye product. For some reason, it's not as big of a deal with a base product. Like, I'm not fatigued at all on the K.R. Weiss foundation, but with an eye product and then also with lip products, I have found that that fatigue can set in after the initial excitement of a project pan wears off. This is also really nice over something a little bit more matte, like I'll put it over a Viseart matte shadow, or I also like it over some of the matte eye tints that Gressa does, for example, if you have those. So this is a really versatile product, and I am happy to have it and have picked it up and found these different ways to incorporate it and use it. And I'm hoping to make more headway on this. Like, I'm hoping that I can use like a third of it over the course of this year. I would be pretty satisfied with that. If I am dedicated to the project pan, this is something that I have to focus on because you need such a small amount. There's a ton of product in here. The packaging like really kind of is not ideal, and it's gonna go bad inevitably pretty soon. Okay, I will do this today, although on a daily basis I typically would not. This was initially in my project pan and then I kicked it out, the K.R. Weiss eyeliner in brown. Again, I just got kind of bored of reaching for it and using it, and on a daily basis I'm really no longer reaching for an eyeliner. But this is a great brown eyeliner, particularly if you are looking for just kind of mid-tone neutral brown that doesn't turn warm. It's like it's a very good one. I'm gonna tight line with it a little bit too. So let's do a few coats of mascara and then we'll talk about the rest of the face. To kind of preempt any questions, yes, this does transfer on me. I will get a little bit of panda or raccoon eyes towards the end of the day. Not terrible, but it does happen. The Bite Beauty is definitely more indelible than this, but I just get the kind of effect, like fluffy effect on my lashes with this that I really like, so I'm kind of willing to put up with the transferring. All right, now as I let off this video with saying, the bronzer that was in my project pan, I successfully finished just, I think week before last I finished. I really enjoyed using it. I would totally buy another pan of Dazzling in the future. It worked very nicely on my skin tone. You need quite a bit of product, I find, to get the desired effect, at least that I wanted, so it was not difficult at all to use up. Overall, very happy with it, very gratified to have finished it. And now the only bronzers that I have two powder bronzers and I have a liquid bronzer, which I think is what I'm going to show you today. The Gressa Minimalist Contouring Serum Bronzer, which is the newest acquisition. Well People bio-based baked bronzer, which I really like for a subtle look. And then this is gonna have to get retired into my makeup mausoleum at some point. The Studio 78 We Evade bronzing powder in O2. I think this brand is discontinued, but I had gone through a whole one of these some years ago. I wish this brand, like I did really like this brand. Very old school eco beauty, so probably not very many people will remember them. But today, let's just do a drop of the Gressa Minimalist Contouring Bronzing Serum. You do need a little bit of time to work with this. The way that I do it is I just take a drop, I kind of spread it out on my hand like this, and then I go in with a brush. I actually recently picked up the Gressa airbrush brush and I like this for this purpose, but I find you really do need this kind of application with this product. I struggle to use fingers with this. It gets streaky. It doesn't blend in super nicely with fingers with me, but with the brush application, I do really like it. However, my main gripe with this is that the undertones are really, it's very RMS Buriti bronze. You can see it almost looks like a blush on me as well, and less of kind of that cool greigey undertone. I mean, I still do really like it, but the K.R. Weiss is a little bit, it doesn't turn sort of as pinky red undertone on me as this one does, but I do still like this. So you can see that sometimes with this, it's sort of, I don't know, I find that it can look a little bit splotchy and uneven sometimes. So I would just say it's a little bit of maybe an advanced or somewhat finicky product. And you can see one drop is sort of more than enough. I've also experimented with putting a drop of this into like a tinted moisturizer like the Juice Beauty CC cream. You can just go overboard really quickly with it, so I think you do have to be somewhat careful. So I'm gonna leave that there, just take the excess product off. And I don't have a dedicated cheek product, like cheek color in my project pan. And I'm somewhat glad for that because I think I would get fatigued on it. But what I did include was my KRW's lip tint in the shade Goddess, which I kind of put in the project pan with the rationale that I would use this on lips and cheeks. Now this has been, in addition to the Rituel Diffie Andromeda, the most difficult item because it's a little discouraging because you need such a small amount and it's hard to envision fully finishing this at like any point, especially in a bold color. And truthfully, I was a little bit disappointed in this shade. I was hoping it was going to be a lot deeper and it's more like a true cherry popsicle red type of color on me. I did kind of throw 2 lip liners into my project pan, but I mean, I know I'm not going to finish them up. The KRW's lip liner in Bare for a neutral lip and the Jane Iredale Berry lip liner. And truthfully, like I don't need to finish these this year. It's not as big of a priority as some of the cream products, but I did put them in with the hope that I would use them in a very dedicated way. And then KRW's Goddess lip tint, and then my neutral lipstick option that I included was KRW's lipstick in Mesmerize, which I am truthfully quite bored of using. So, I mean, this I can use on the cheeks as well. So that was kind of my approach. Rather than doing a separate blush and a separate lipstick, I wanted to be able, I feel like double duty is the way to go with a lip or a cheek product. So I'm gonna line my lips with this Jane Iredale Berry. It also helps deepen up the color of the lip tint on the lips. Then I'm just going to start finger applying this a bit. I'm undecided on the lip tint. I mean, overall, I think I like it. I like the way that this wears down. It does create like a very nice stain on the lips, but you can see I just wish it were darker. I bought this when I was kind of grieving the end of RMS Diabolique, and I was looking for something that would fill that space in my heart. And this didn't really do that. It is still a nice color, and I feel like I can deepen it up with different lip liners. Now, the way that I like to do this on the cheeks, also part of my project pan, the LAMOUR Velvet Soul Lip Balm. I wanted to really try and finish this up this year. It's the last LAMOUR product from a Boxwalla discovery, and so I've prioritized wanting to use this. So I like to create a bit more emollients because the KRW's lip tint is very dry. So I kind of put a little bit of this down on the lips, and then I like to go like this. Now I can look very Snow White very, very quickly with this, as you can kind of already tell. So we're gonna have to sort of work this in and buff it out. But this will kind of last on my face all day. So I have always felt that the longevity of KRW's products on the face is really very good. I'm going to do just another thin layer of the lip tint. Okay, now we come to our final step, but actually final 2 steps because totally out of order, but I guess they're both still face products. I have a highlight and I have a highlighting light reflecting concealing pen, which honestly I should have done obviously in the very beginning, but this is in my project pan because I really want to use it up. It's the Dr. Hauschka light reflecting concealer in translucent, and I'll do just a little bit right here. I'm gonna do maybe a little bit right here, and maybe we'll leave it at that. Usually I would do it kind of up here, but since I've already done my face, we're gonna forego that for today. The thing with this product is I like it, but it just doesn't do very much, but it's very pleasurable to use, honestly. It has a very nice smell. So I do want to use it up, but I probably would not opt to buy it again. Now we come to the final step, which is highlight. And the highlight that I decided to include in my project pan is another Rituel Diffie product that I have absolutely no hope of finishing. It's in the shade Ice Bow. I will be lucky to actually hit pan in this because you need such a small amount. It's pretty intense, very kind of icy, but pretty. And I do like it. And I've had it for coming up on 2 years. So the pressure is kind of on to finish it. And surprisingly, it has not started to turn at all the way that I had the cream bronzer, or I forget, it's like a cream pigment product, and one of their foundations, and both had turned before I could finish them and just like had texture change and whatnot. But this one has stayed quite good. So I want to use up as much of it as I can. Truthfully, like I'm not that enthused by it anymore, but it does give a pretty, albeit quite overdone effect. But sometimes, like if I'm really bored with the Ritual de Fille, I'll use this on the inner corner, and it is very, very pretty. And every time I use it on my live stream, people seem to like it. So I think it's more like, it's not that fun for me to use anymore, but it does still give a nice effect. I just have other highlights that I'd like to use. Like there's several in this Axiology kit. I also have the Gressa Illuminating Serum, which I like quite a bit and would like to get some use out of. So that is everything. I covered everything in front of me. You can see that my approach to this is really more flexible maybe than people that are like, these are my 5 project pan items. I've kind of kicked things out, and I even threw a couple of additional things in, like my NARS Cruella lip pencil and my Ritual de Fille Narcissus. So these are 2 additional things like I kind of threw into my Project Pan everyday makeup bag, hoping that if I got bored, I could kind of rotate these in, or sometimes I like to mix Cruella with the Goddess lip tint. So that's also been my approach for mitigating the boredom that has come with a Project Pan, is still using the Project Pan item, but pairing it with other things like on the eyes, on the cheeks, on the lips, to just make it, you know, kind of more interesting and engaging. It's been a really, really good consciousness raising beauty project for me, and it's something that I think I will continue to do every year. And I mean, I'm such a dork, right? Like I'm such a beauty dork. Like I'm so analytical, and I really like teasing apart like all of these little daily micro experiences of using beauty products and what that can tell me about like product experience, how I use products, how other women use products. Yeah, it just kind of informs a more reflective beauty experience, which is just how I live my life in general in all facets. So why wouldn't it apply to beauty? And it's honestly, I guess the end result is that it can be very rewarding to find a product you really like, to feel like you really used it up, it had a lot of utility for you, and that's a pleasurable beauty experience. And that's what I think we're kind of all after. You know, it's depressing to throw out products because, you know, maybe you impulse bought too much to make yourself feel better, aka me, but I have to say I am deriving a lot of pleasure from these. So I hope you enjoyed this Get Ready With Me. If you liked it, I do them every single week on Patreon at the live stream level. And if you also think what's happening in the world is like totally surreal, inverted, crazy, you're not alone. And I'm very open with a lot of the resources that I come across, a lot of the research that I do, a lot of the thinking that I do holistically, and mix it with like doing makeup every week. So if that's of interest to you, it's a really wonderful community. So you can go to patreon.com/L'Amour et la Musique if you'd like to come join. And it also entitles you to all the stuff that's nested below there. So I do an extra video every month, an extra podcast episode, individual, like I respond to individual Q&As. I have a private Instagram stories feed. Drop me a comment below. Let me know how you've been. If you have any questions or any Project Pan insights, I would love to hear them. And hopefully I'll see you guys next week, in 2 weeks. My life is crazy right now. We'll see. Talk to you guys later. Bye.